What's up, you big beautiful nerds? This is Cheshire, and today we are going to talk about my new favorite deck, as you can tell from the lovely playmat. Beautiful Ultra Pro playmat. This is Sisay Weatherlight Captain. I thought we could do maybe a little bit of like a really rough, and amazingly rough, quick brief history of the Weatherlight. So I don't have an Urza in this deck, but Urza basically builds the Weatherlight, which is part of the Legacy engine, which we'll talk about at some point, I'm sure, but probably not for an EDH video because it's on the banned list from memory. Whatever. So, Weatherlight gets handed around to a bunch of people before it ends up in the hands of Sisay Weatherlight Captain. Sisay's just like, hey, cool, we've got the ship and we need to go and beat like the Phyrexians because they're all evil and bad and stuff. And Tangarth is just like, hey, yeah, that sounds awesome, but what we really need is Gerard Capuchin. So Gerard comes aboard, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll help you captain the Weatherlight. Sure, I'm a hero. Yep, that's how it happened. Along with them comes Miri, because, cat lady, I guess. And she's a great fighter, so why wouldn't she come along and join the crew of the Weatherlight in this saga for some apparent reason. Also, of course, we have the complete idiot that is Squee, because everyone needs a cabin boy. And then, of course, you have Khan, which I think was initially kind of like created by Urza anyway, or something. You know, I don't even remember what Khan was. Khan gets captured by the Phyrexians during one of the fights and is forced to kill a whole bunch of goblins. Not Squee, of course. Which is like eternal damnation and stuff. They arrive on, I think, Phyrexia, and come across the Predator flagship. From memory. No, wait, that's before Phyrexia. That's the other people they were fighting. Crap, does anyone remember? I don't care. This is a theme deck, as you can tell. Hence the rough lore. And Hannah was on there navigating on the Weatherlight. And I think gets killed at some point, probably. And I know the Predator flagship got blown up by Vindicate's art. I remember that, for sure. And Arim dies at some point, like Gerard and most of the crew. And there was this erratic portal on Phyrexia, I think, when they were trying to like leave, and it wasn't active, and somebody had to stay behind to make sure that the portal was active, so Urtai was just like, hey look, I don't value my life pretty much. I want to be the hero. I've been kind of shit, so I'll keep the portal open and you guys just fly through, alright? I'll just stay here and die. That's okay? Okay, great. So pretty much that led to the utter end of the entire story. There is your quick history on the Weatherlight. Okay, into an actual 100% deck tech that I know you're absolutely dying for. Let's get into it. Fresh. Alright, so first off, let's talk about Captain Sisay. So Sisay Weatherlight Captain is 2 colors and a white for a legendary creature, human soldier 2/2. Sisay Weatherlight Captain gets +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control, not counters, not +1/+1 counters, just +1/+1. Sort of problematic, but sort of alright. 4 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 green. Search your library for a legendary permanent card with a converted mana cost less than Sisay's power, and then put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. If this kind of feels like more of a Kethis kind of deck, you're kind of right, I guess. Because we're going to be basically maxing out on legendaries as much as we can. Before we go into that though, we need some ways to get some additional mana on the field. So, first one up is Farseek. This is 1 green and 1 colors for a sorcery. Search a library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card and put it on the battlefield tapped. And then shuffle your library. So, first thing to notice is this doesn't fetch forest, which is fine, because we're playing predominantly green anyway, so we don't need to freak out about that. We're also playing a Cultivate. This is 2 colors and 1 green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, and put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, and then shuffle your library. We are playing 2 of each basic land. Because we're playing heaps of legendaries, of course, we're going to be playing the legendary artifact that is Mox Amber. 0 mana cost for a legendary artifact. Tap and add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. Lucky for us, we are 5 color. We are 5 color. So this potentially can add one of those 5 colors. We're of course playing Sol Ring because it's broken. Enough said. We are playing Orzhov Signet for black and white. We are playing Rakdos Signet for a black and a red. And we are playing our Dimir Signet so we can produce our blue and our black. These are just in case, you need mana. So we're going to make sure that we've got it. Speaking of needing mana, we've got semi-mana producer Deathrite Shaman, which can also double as just like really good. Really good. So tap and exile target land from a graveyard to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. 1 black and tap, exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. Can be good late game. 1 green and tap to exile target creature from a graveyard and you gain 2 life. So, it's not all bad. We have our Arbor Elf because it untaps forests. Noticing a small elf tribal here? Maybe. We have Elvish Mystic for a green that taps for a green. We have a Llanowar Elves, the pretty promo one from Dominaria, that taps for a green. We also have, I'm just going to make sure that we run through the elves. We have Priest of Titania, which I overpaid for because these are actually really hard to find here, really hard. 1 green and 1 colors for an elf druid, 1/1, tap to add green to your mana pool for each elf on the battlefield, elf and a shelf. Devoted Druid is pretty cool because, put a -1/-1 counter on it, and then it can untap. So she is really cool. Or they, I guess, to be honest. 1 green and 1 colors to tap to add a green. 0/2. Next up, we have kind of branching into the legendaries, but we'll get into legendaries more in a second. Rishka Pima Renegade. When Rishka Pima Renegade enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 creatures. Hi. Each creature you control with a counter on it has tap to add a green to your mana pool. We're going to put this just down here for a second because it needs to be in with the legendaries. We have, of course, running Bird's Paradise, 1 green for Beard, 0/1 flying, tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. I mean, it's hilarious that flying used to have that in the brackets. Why? Because people didn't remember. We have, of course, Death Cap Cultivator, 1 green and 1 colors for a human druid 2/1. Tap to add a green or a black to your mana pool. It has Death Touch as long as there is 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Not particularly hard for this deck when you get stuff that is going to get smashed out of the way. Speaking out of the way, let's get you out of the way of Sisay's pretty face. Alright, so legendary permanents. We are running Oath of Nissa, because we're just going to start with our enchantments. 1 green legendary enchantment. When Oath of Nissa enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You can spend mana as though it was mana of any color to cast planeswalker spells. This is very good. That's why it's been banned in Pioneer. Oath of Ajani, of course. Pretty. 1 green and 1 white for a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Planeswalker spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which we don't really care about. It's more putting a +1/+1 counter on everything and then using Brago to blink it, which we'll get to a little bit later. We've got Oath of Kaya. This is when Oath of Kaya enters the battlefield, deal 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, Oath of Kaya deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. Real solid. The last oath we're playing is Oath of Teferi. Speaking of blinking things to get extra counters. Legendary enchantment for 1 blue, 1 white, and 3 colors. You can activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn, rather than only once. When Oath of Teferi enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return it to the battlefield. It's a little bit of blink, I guess. Alrighty. Moving along to more legendary enchantments for fun. We are running Path of Metal probably won't do anything, but it's great against tokens, I guess, and it's searchable, so that's fine. 1 red and 1 white. When it comes into the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature that doesn't have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste. Whenever you attack with at least 2 creatures that have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, and or Haste, transform Path of Metal, which I haven't actually checked to see if there is anything. I'm just basically using it as a pseudo mana rock sort of thing for Sisay, so that's a thing. You already know about search for Azcanta, 1 blue and 1 colors. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library, you can put it into your graveyard. Then, if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you can transform this into a much better land that no one actually remembers. Growing Rites of Itlamok, 2 colors and 1 green legendary enchantment. When Growing Rites of Itlamok enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform Growing Rites of Itlamok into a land that produces a whole crap ton of green mana that you can use for whatever the heck you want. Maybe you're going to be using it for a Thrasius Triton hero. This is 1 green and 1 blue for a 1/3, and it has 4. Scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, otherwise draw a card. So pretty good. Going back to what we were saying before about our Weatherlight crew, they actually come into form and function as well, with Rishkar, of course, putting +1/+1 counters of up to 2 creatures. We've got Miri, which is just a great card in any deck that can run Selesnya, and you should always do it. You should. Don't even ask why, because it's obvious. So whenever Miri, the Weatherlight Duelist, attacks, each opponent can't block with more than 1 creature this combat. Holy crap. As long as Miri Weatherlight Duelist is tapped, no more than 1 creature can attack you each combat. Yeah. Squee just keeps coming back. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the only reason why we play Squee. We don't really have stuff that really pitches that much, but it's Squee. Hannah, we do have some artifacts and enchantments in here. We don't need them back, but Hannah's cool for getting them back if we need to. And of course, 2 colors is always good in our legendaries. This is in here just for flavor because it's Weatherlight, but I mean, preventing 3 damage is okay. The same with Urtai. This is also pretty much just in here, just as flavor. Counts as a wizard, which is hilarious. It's now been, I believe the card was edited. What's the word I'm looking for? It was updated basically to be a wizard. We've got Patra because, again, 2 colors in our legendaries is really good because it gives +1/+1 to Sisay for each color. So that's pretty cool. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you can put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. When you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create a 1/1 green snake creature token with that touch, which is always good. We've got Alesha, who smiles at death. 1 red and 2 colors, legendary creature, human warrior. First strike, when Alesha, who smiles at death, attacks, you may pay 1 black-white, 1 black-white. If you do, return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? A 2/2. It gets a 2/2. Well, they get a 2/2. So pretty much what you're looking at here is the fact that they can bring Sisay back, spread onto the field, which is awesome. Kumbal, this is a great toolbox card. You should always search out for this as soon as you can. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Everyone's going to hate Kumbal. Time the Weaver. This is 1 black, 1 white, and 1 colors for a lifelink human cleric. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt damage this turn. And if you do, draw X cards for a 2/2. Of course, we've got the new captain of the Weatherlight 2.0 captain, I guess is what we'll call her. We have Joyra Weatherlight Captain. This is a legendary human artificer. As you can see, it's a 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Pretty much in here just for card draw. Again, 2 colors on legendary permanents is what we're looking for as well, especially with things like Brago. If you don't know about the Blink Stacks deck for Brago, definitely look it up. 1 blue, 1 white, 2 colors for Brago, flying legendary creature spirit, 2/4. When Brago, King Eternal deals combat damage to a player, exile any number of target non-land permanents you control, then return those to the battlefield under their owner's control. We also have a really cool toolbox fetch to save our creatures from direct interaction. This is 3 colors and 1 white for Shalai, Voice of Plenty. This is a 3/4 legendary angel. Flying, your planeswalkers, you, and other creatures you control have hexproof. For 4 colors and 2 green, you can put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Tasty. Tasty. Alright, now we get into a little bit of the dirty trick. Bolas' Citadel, 3 black and 3 colors, legendary artifact. We're not playing the combo with this, by the way. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, then you can pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. You can sacrifice and tap 10. Well, you can tap this and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. So it's a good way to close out the game. What else are we doing here? Cool. So, when you want to win the game, you search for Azel, the Lawbringer. 2 colors, 2 white, and 2 blue flying. When Azel, the Lawbringer, enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. When Azel attacks, you may pay X white, blue, blue, and if you do, you gain X life and you draw X cards. Not as good as some of the other options, but we wanted to go with a little bit more of a lax EDH rather than a CEDH deck here. Turns out this deck is still very borderline and very powerful, probably around a 7 or an 8 at least. Just on the sheer power. I had some fun the other night where I killed one of my friends out of nowhere, another friend attacked another friend, and then I had Tangarth on the field, so Tangarth came out and joined in the attack and helped kill off that player, so it was just 2 of us left. I untapped and won. So that's a thing that can just happen out of nowhere. Speaking of lots of mana pips, we have Amanatu the Fate Shifter. This is a black, blue, and a white for a legendary creature, Planeswalker Amanatu, with 3 loyalty. So 3 mana for 3 loyalty is pretty good. Draw a card, put a card from your hand on top of your library, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. Remember the very slight stacks feel to this deck as well. Choose left or right, no one really cares because you'll never actually use it. Yeah, being able to search this bad boy out. Well, I shouldn't say bad boy because Ashiok is actually genderless as far as I remember from the lore. So, Ashiok Dream Render. 1 colorless, so the blue, black, blue, black. You can play it with blue or black, it doesn't matter. Legendary Planeswalker Ashiok. Spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause their controller to search their libraries. Yeah, that's sure going to make your opponents mad when you can fetch this out real quick. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard. So graveyard hate mixed in with not letting people search their decks is pretty cool. Domri, Anarch of Bolas, again, just a nice cheap planeswalk with a really cool ability, especially when you get down to the +1. So this is 1 colorless, 1 red and green for a Domri who ends up getting like absolutely slayed during the last installment of Magic Lore. Unfortunately, Domri lost their life. Creatures you control get +1/+0. That already sounds pretty good, right? Add 1 red or green to your mana pool. Creature spells you cast a spell can't be counted. So creature turns? Yeah, creature spells you cast this turn can't be counted. I just recorded a video with somebody else and I'm still a little bit tongue-tied. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. You can use it sometimes. Narset, I know, right? Parter of Veils. I told you that this deck is just not as friendly as most of the decks that I play, but it's still fairly friendly because it doesn't have like mana drain in it and a couple other bits and pieces like Force of Will, but it's still like a 7 or an 8 easily. 2 blue and 1 colorless legendary Planeswalker Narset. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Sorry. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Alright, so now we get into ways of, we should probably actually talk about how to destroy stuff. Vindicate! We went through that before, that's fine. Swords to Plowshares, of course, we're going to be playing this because this is a staple. We don't want to play the other one because we don't want to path and ramp for our opponent. So 1 white for an instant, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. We, of course, have Anguish Unmaking. 1 black, 1 white, and 1 colorless. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. And, of course, we have Time Wipe. This is 2 white, a blue, and 2 colors for a sorcery. Return a creature you control to its owner's hand and then destroy all creatures. I am kind of just playing this for the bling factor. I'm sure there's better things, but I mean, this card looks absolutely sick. It just looks sweet. And I think everyone knows that I'm not usually like, bling is great. We usually don't do that at all. We do, of course, have an Utter End. So 2 colors, 1 white and 1 black. Exile target non-land permanent. Okay. Say for some reason you haven't been able to put the game away. We have ways around that, and it's fine. And it's not by like Weatherlight shenanigans or anything like that. But if we've got enough creatures out, we can just basically Finale of Devastation for X equals 10 and just kill everyone. Yeah, look, I mean, it's in here as a toolbox card as well. I mean, it can fetch stuff, but if you can hold on to it and just kill your opponents with like big stupid creatures. That sounds great. Did you realize we're playing white? No. Sorry, that was the first time it approached. Okay, great. That's the second time. Approach the second sun, 6 colors and 1 white. As I say in every video where I'm playing something white, if I can play Approach and I have space, I will play Approach and I'll make space. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach second into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. Nice way to close out the game, just in case Sisay just ain't doing it for you. Just in case she can't close out the job. But this is Sisay Weatherlight Captain. This is about as close to CEDH I think I will ever play, and it is a ball of fun for me. I did think that my opponents had some fun with it the other night, but winning on turn 6 is kind of not my jam. I like to have nice long games. Not too long, but like an hour-ish rather than 20 minutes. But this is an extremely cool deck, and I'm very, very happy with it. And I might even do some fun tuning just to make it a bit more fun and a little bit less competitive. Just to try and get some more mileage out of it, maybe. I don't know. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Please check out puremtgo.com, where you'll find most likely an article on this and other things by myself and other talented content creators. Please note that I will be at Magic Fest Brisbane. That will be December the 6th to the 8th. 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, December the 6th to the 8th, thanks to Channel Fireball. # sponsored. They're going to give us a little bit of space so that we can record some Commander games. So if you are there, try and hit us up. Just note that we will also be giving preference to people who have Command Zone passes and Fnatic passes, just because we want to make it worthwhile for Channel Fireball more than anything. Other things is we have a Chaos draft coming up the weekend after, which I think is the 16th or something. It's basically the Monday after. So keep your eyes out for that on my Twitter at Cheshire Plays. Of course, subscribe here if you haven't subscribed. It's free. And go over and follow us on the Twitch. Hit the follow on Cheshire Plays Games. And I hope you've enjoyed this deck tech. And I love you all to bits, you big, beautiful bastards. Have a bloody great week. I'll talk to you all soon, I'm sure.